we were honest with one another, which is a big thing, I think, today, because when he asked me what I liked, I told him what I liked. If something I didn't like, I told him I didn't like it.
And as I always said through our whole marriage, it's the little things that keep us together. It's the big things.
Right.
We can handle any big thing.
Take a girl and a guy, and they fall madly in love and form a family. Sprinkle in some counseling degrees and a doctorate, a dream of transforming relationships as we know it. And 20 years later, we give you power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. And this is their podcast, Couples Synergy.
Welcome back to another episode of Couples Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean. I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean. And this is our podcast about love, marriage, and relationships.
Check us out online at couplessynergy.com and be sure to subscribe to our podcast or send us any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear more about. And now on to Couples Synergy, an in-depth look at love, marriage, and relationships, where we bring you our experiences with working with thousands of couples for over 15 years.
You know, every day we get to hear intimate details about a couple's celebrations, disappointments, and everyday challenges. We've often wished these stories were shared because we know we are more similar than different. And so we've created not only an avenue where you can hear about people's intimate lives, but an atmosphere where people come over to our home pub, pour a drink, and share their stories.
People like today's guests, John and Debbie, thank you very much for being on our podcast.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So this is going to be a very special podcast here today because I think to date, you guys are the longest married couple that we have interviewed.
Wow.
How exciting.
It is exciting.
And we're still here to talk about it.
And on top of that, a little personal note, right?
It's my Uncle John.
Yes. So before we get to your story, can you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves? How old are you? How long have you guys been together? And what do you do for a living?
I am 63 years old. And let's see, what else?
How long are you married?
Oh, going to be 44 years. So, and we've known each other for about one and a half years before we got married. Maybe close to 2.
And what do you do for a living?
What do I do for a living? I'm an insurance analyst working for a software company.
All right. Thank you. Chad?
And I'm about 64 years old, retired with a part-time job. We have 3 kids. Of course, we're married 43 years. I known Deb before it, but I was dating someone else at the time. And she ended up to be the one I went the rest of my life with. So,
can you guys tell us the story of how you met?
Wow. Okay. Let's see. I had a girlfriend and he was dating her. And every time I saw him, I just thought, wow, he would be a nice catch. You know, he was very, very gentlemanlike, holding doors, taking care of people, always had a smile on his face. And so I don't know how much detail we can go. I guess we could go into it. There was a party that was going on the south side of Chicago. He was dating her. And that night, it was a terrible night because they were involved in a train accident. He lost his best friend. And this girl ended up in the hospital. She had a concussion. She was in there for about 3 months. And when she came out, she just was a totally different person, very demanding, very selfish, very into herself. And needless to say, this was during the early 70s, 73, and there was a gas shortage going on. And because his car was totaled in the accident, I drove him to the hospital maybe 3-4 times a week because she was my friend. I wanted to see her, and it was his girlfriend. So I did the nice thing, and we drove all the way down to the University of Chicago. And while she was there, you know, recuperating and stuff, she changed, probably from the concussion, but don't know for sure.
And how old were you guys at that time?
I was 19.
I was 18.
I was first year out of high school.
College.
Well, yeah, college. I went to college for 1 year. That to me is not college. That was practice.
So,
Well, she was unconscious for the first month. Deb used to volunteer all the time to take me down there, which was very nice of her. She was dating somebody else, but nothing regular at the time. By the time we had a lot, the ride was about an hour ride. So we got to talking the whole ride. We really got to like one another. we did before, but you got to know a little more personal about one another. And when Joanne ended up to where she got to the point where I couldn't take it anymore, I called her. We went on a date to see The Exorcist, which was her third time going to see it. So, needless to say, she really didn't pay too much attention to the movie, and she just sat there wanting to leave. That was our first date, basically. So I made it up to her by taking her out for a movie, which was What's Up, Doc? Next.
What's Up, Doc?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a better movie to go see. Except when we went to the movie, I locked my keys in the car, and my dad had to come get us and open the car. So that was another fiasco, but it worked out.
You didn't chase her off.
No, I
she
stuck.
stuck around.
How did you guys know you were a couple?
It didn't take very long.
No.
Everything was natural. Every
Yes.
time you're with her, it was just fun. You just wanted to be around her. So that for me, anyway.
We laughed, we talked. We would stay up till 4:00 in the morning talking to one another on the phone. He'd come over to the house. We'd sit on my stairs. We would just sit there and talk till the wee hours of the morning. Crazy thing is, went back, went to bed for 2 hours, got up, went to work. Did the same thing the next night. We just talked and talked.
Well, the big thing was we were 30 miles apart as far as distance was. So, it was funny to drop her off and then go home and then get back on the phone.
Because you can't do that in your car back then.
No,
No,
well,
you can't.
well, I could, but it didn't go through. I had the rotary,
It's a long wire.
So you didn't like ask her to go steady or?
No, I was never
No.
really into the steady thing.
Mm-hmm.
We were young, and you just were expecting to go out a couple times, have some dinners, and then it just seemed to escalate into, this is the one that I want to be with for a little while longer, and then finally it got to the point where I just went up to her and says, "Hey, will you marry me?"
That was the proposal?
Basically.
How long were you guys together before that happened?
Less than a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of,
But you kind of know.
Yeah.
We kind of knew.
our interests were very similar. It was just fun to be around. We always talked about family, and her family was very nice, and my family was okay. She put up with a lot with my family.
The thing is, I want to say, we were honest with one another, which is a big thing, I think, today, because when he asked me what I liked, I told him what I liked. If something I didn't like, I told him I didn't like it. I mean, and you kind of remember that about one another. I mean, there were no lies. The trust was there, right there up front, And I think that's a big part, because even, to this day, there's,
Well, to take it back to the dating, you got to understand, in that car ride for an hour, you got to know somebody, So I knew a lot about her before we even dated. So that helped a lot in the way our relationship formed after, I broke up with the other girl. So
I think that's another thing that doesn't really happen anymore, where people get to know each other first.
yeah,
Right.
I always told the kids that, and it never seemed to sink in. I wasn't a very good example of that.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think you and my dad are 16 years apart.
No, we were 14.
14. So, my parents had the traditional, my mom stayed home, had kids, he worked.
Right.
And I think most of your siblings had that.
Yes, they all did.
But
all
you
of
guys
them-
didn't.
No.
we did.
Oh, you were home?
Oh,
I
yeah,
was
we had
home.
our
Okay.
kids right away. So,
Right. So that was, yeah.
So
Yeah.
she stayed home for the first 10 years at least. And then she got part-time jobs and
Okay.
in the evenings.
6 years.
Oh, it
Mhm.
was 6? Okay.
6 years.
And,
I remember the day you came to our house when you guys had first gotten engaged.
well, they had
Oh,
the
yeah?
party at your house.
Yeah, I remember because we didn't know you yet.
That's right.
And you walked into the kitchen. I remember that.
Good days. Happy days.
I was probably like 10 or something, 9 or 10.
Yeah.
So the proposal was within 1 year of
Yes.
dating.
Correct.
And
Yes.
so it was just kind of that casual type of proposal?
Well,
or?
it was a thought, that we both asked one another kind of.
Mhm.
And it wasn't really the finale.
Right.
I did, take her to a restaurant nice and hand her the ring. And,
Mhm.
well, I handed her the box.
You
with
handed-
nothing into it.
Here.
There was nothing in the box.
There was nothing in the box.
No,
No,
I was
it was
wearing
empty.
it. I was wearing it. So I handed,
Tricky.
we used to go to a place that was called Elliot's Pine Log Inn.
Mhm.
It was a nice rustic type atmosphere, real quiet,
Mhm.
tablecloths, napkins, cloth napkins, all shot. And it was one of our favorites. So we were sitting there one night and I asked her to marry me and I handed her the box and she screams like, "Oh," real loud. And everybody in the restaurant is looking now, Okay, great. And she opens it up and she went from, "Oh," to, "Oh." It was like there was nothing in it, And it was like,
Not even a cigar band.
Right. So I reached for it. I said, "Well, let me see that a second." And it was on my finger.
Uh-huh.
And then everybody, go away.
Did you get down on one knee?
No,
No.
No.
it was across the table.
Okay.
But he did ask my father.
Oh, let's hear that story.
That was interesting.
Well, yeah, we took him out for dinner.
Mhm.
And afterwards, we stopped at what was the name of it? The drink?
Kalakahiki.
Halakahiki. And it's a Polynesian drink place. You sit at the palm trees and stuff like that. And you have a few different drinks. And I finally got up enough courage with a few drinks. And I'm looking right at him. I said, "Dad, you mind if I marry your daughter?" And he goes, "What?" And it's like, it was just a question, what? It wasn't he was mad.
My mother's hard of hearing, so she
Right.
goes, "Leo, didn't you hear him?"
That was after my second time.
So
of
you're with
asking
them
him.
by yourself.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Oh, you were there. You were
she
there.
was there.
Yeah.
It was after I proposed to her, so I was hoping he said yes. That wouldn't have been the plan. That
No
would have been good.
return policy.
No,
on the
it was
ring.
no
It's not good.
return.
Yeah, here.
So then we got the okay, and then a few months later, we found out we were pregnant. So we had to move the wedding up, and we had to tell the parents again. That was a fun time. And so what we did was we got all four parents together.
It's the Zender way.
Yeah, we might have been one of the first. What an example we
The
set
original.
for everybody.
Trendsetter.
Yeah, well, I heard from my brothers and sisters that it could have happened to us. And
Yeah, right.
well, why didn't it?
No, it happened to us instead.
Well, we got the parents together, all in my house where I was living, and my dad's response to it was, "How does that happen?" And my response was, "You had 7." And he didn't like that too much.
That's funny.
Our original wedding date was set for September 27th.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we found out we were pregnant, we pushed it up to June 1st.
How long was the engagement then?
About a month.
No.
Was it a
It was
month?
a few months. It was
November,
Yeah.
October, November. I got
Yeah.
engaged.
So
I don't know the
it
exact
was
date.
a couple months after that. Yeah,
I got
Me
engaged
too.
in October, November.
right.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law did slap me on the backside of the head and said the honeymoon's over, and I laughed.
Did that experience change you guys? I
No.
had,
No.
because I got pregnant,
No.
right? And I wasn't married. And
Mhm.
it really was very difficult to keep being Catholic and
Well,
have all that
yeah.
judgment. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, and I know it had to even be worse at the time that you guys were going through that.
Well, not really. I mean, the being Catholic thing is always a sticky situation. It's something you really don't discuss. It's a religious thing, and I don't really discuss a lot of it because I get in trouble all the time. But, no, we were very much good friends. We were lovers, and we were going to get married anyway. So,
And we said, if people won't accept us, we'll move away. I mean, we were ready to just leave.
well, we knew
because-
it was going to happen one way or another. So,
Right.
Were you afraid that you guys
No,
weren't going to
for
get
some crazy
accepted?
reason, no.
No.
Okay.
No.
I mean,
not
we
at
were
all.
20 and 20. Actually, we were just shy. So I was 20, she was 19. It just, everything fell into place. It just worked out.
One of my friends, it drove me crazy because we were married maybe 25 years. And she says, "Oh, you had to get married." No, I did not have to get married. Don't tell me I had to get married.
Mhm.
I loved him from the start. This is my life. This is what I wanted. And this is what we chose.
And she's in
We
her
could have
second
had an
marriage.
abortion. I mean,
Right.
it was out there back then, down Michigan Avenue or whatever. They were out there, those places.
Yeah.
But we
And when you
chose
get married for
no.
the wrong reason, you don't last. anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we said, no, we're going to stay together. We're going to fight and we're going to do this.
How'd you find out you were pregnant?
Sick.
Sickness.
Morning sickness.
I'm at work and all of a sudden I'm running to the bathroom going, what the heck? I don't think I have the flu.
So then she calls me. Hey, guess what?
wasn't very regular anyway, with my period. And, you think you use protection, but sometimes it just doesn't always work.
Yeah.
So did that change your relationship, just kind of instantly going to family versus like, couples who have maybe a year or two before they start their family?
For me, no, because I came from a big family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very much family oriented. My brothers and sisters, if you talk to them, it's a little different because they're older.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like a second generation in that family. So I had a lot of teachers and a lot of parents,
Mm-hmm.
per se. Your dad was
Or
one
at
of
least bossy people.
them. Well, I used to have to eat dinner with your dad when he got home from work, up on the table. But anyway, no, I was more family oriented. So the family thing we already discussed ahead of time. We wanted 2 to begin with, and we ended up with 3. And that's before we got married. We discussed and we said we wanted 2 kids. So right away or later, what difference did it make at that time?
Right.
We were ready for anything that came along.
Were most people your age having kids very quickly?
No, they weren't even
No.
married. They were
No.
all still in school.
We were the first ones,
Yeah.
and of all of our friends. So
We would show up with a child in a baby seat, and they would, "What are you doing?"
but we brought them everywhere. We didn't stay home. We went out. We went shopping. We did it.
Yeah.
Well, but our parents, both sets of parents, love to watch the kids. Obviously. So.
Yeah, her parents liked me after a while.
Everyone accepted what happened. So
Yeah. It's so crazy today to even think that would be a thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, you're still talking 43 years ago.
Right.
So when you stop and think about that
Is that
time.
how old Mike is?
he'll be
Mike's
44.
43, 44. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, back then you were not looked at very well,
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like I said, most of my brothers and sisters, it could have happened to us. So the action was always taking place. It's just you didn't get caught.
Right.
Right.
They were a lot smarter. I don't know.
Or they just got married much sooner.
You just were better at it.
Because I remember my mom was saying like they felt something was wrong because she wasn't pregnant for the first 3 months of their marriage.
Wow.
Like that's what, and she was 19.
And then
Wow.
9 kids later,
right? I guess something worked.
they figured it out, I guess.
In what way is your guys' relationship similar or different than your parents?
Ours totally different, I think.
We constantly hold and hug and walk hand in hand, kiss, show emotion in front of the kids.
Did your family do that?
No,
Well, our
No.
parents didn't.
no.
If my dad said he loved my mom, I might have heard it once. I was there 19 years, so
Mhm.
that could be a lot.
Yeah.
And they never hugged, never seen him hug. Maybe once in a while I saw him holding hand, but I don't think that went off too much.
Even when they were younger.
Well, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
They were in their
Yeah.
40s when I came along,
Right.
so
Yeah.
19 years on that, they were up to close to
Yeah.
60. And here we are at 64 and 65. And,
How do you guys think you've decided to do that?
what do you mean?
To show
Where'd you-
emotion?
Yeah.
Where'd you learn that from?
It just was natural with us.
Yeah. It just
really,
happens,
and we
you know?
always said that it's so
Um,
natural just to be together, and
We'd walk downtown, we'd hold hands, or he'd put his arm around me. We'd go on the rocks over there by the beach, and same thing. We held hands, did whatever. Oh yeah.
That's
Oh,
part of
baby
the
number
problem.
2.
is that how you captured
No.
Uh-huh.
But we used to do. Cute
It
little
just was-
things.
it
we
was-
just did things.
We didn't have a lot of
together.
money,
We
you
loved
know,
doing things together,
but we
which
just
still do.
always hung together.
Mhm.
A bunch of my buddies, they go off and play golf or whatever, and they say, "Hey, you going with?" And I said, "No, I'm busy." And they go, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm just going over to see my girlfriend." And they go, "We're going to play golf." Okay, see, our priorities are different.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it just worked out that way. So I think the
That's
best
true.
thing for us was always the honesty.
Hmm.
It was being straightforward
Mhm.
with
Yes.
each other and open
Yes.
and honest.
Yes. You
Yeah.
have to be.
And we laughed a lot.
Oh my God. Always.
Affection is a really big thing, especially for our nervous system. And I think that is why there's so much anxiety and depression, because when you don't have that touch, you feel very disconnected in the world. It's the reason people that have dogs live longer, because they have something to touch. Yeah.
That's true.
It's a really
Makes
big
sense.
part of being bonded as a couple that a lot of people get wrong.
People would say, like your brother would say, what'd you get her? What'd you get her for Christmas or something? Nothing. We we didn't really, at the beginning, we kind of
Well,
exchanged
it's
some
not
small
yeah.
gifts.
Mhm.
Marriage is, to me, it's not a material thing. It's an emotional thing. It's
not
it's
money
from your heart.
orientated. you know.
Right.
I can't buy her love, you know.
Mhm.
I showed it, you know. And as I always said through our whole marriage, it's the little things that keep us together. It's ain't the big things.
Right.
We can handle any big thing. It's always the little things. If I can get you coffee in the morning or whatever it is, and every morning she gets coffee.
Yes, I do.
So,
Up to my
You know.
bedroom.
Well, I imagine it's all the little things that have helped you deal with the big things.
Oh,
Because you
God,
guys
yeah.
have had to deal with some challenges, a few.
Oh, yeah, a few.
a
Yes.
couple getting pregnant before we got married.
Yeah, that was
That
a
was
big
the starter.
one.
So
Right.
we knew we handled that, so we can move on
That's right.
through life.
Yes.
What was it about the other person that you fell in love with?
I think her smile.
I'd say your smile. You smiled more then.
Life's been cruel.
He's just so affectionate and loving, and I think he's always been that way. So, and still is. So, I think
For the
that's a
most
big
part.
thing.
I had my moments.
True. He's a zender.
There is that rule in there. She's learned what that meant.
So, how long were you guys together by the time you had your third?
Well, you got to take the 1 year of dating, if it was a year.
Well, Annie came in '79.
Well, they were 2.5 years apart. So
Yeah.
So
That's
within
4
six-
years?
4
4 to 5 years.
You guys
Yeah,
had 3
about 5
kids.
years. Yeah.
Mhm.
How
They
was-
were all
how
not
was
in
that?
school.
Yeah.
You know,
2 in diapers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
actually only the last two, because between Michael and
And then
Michelle.
Shell happened to come out of diapers like shortly after Annie came. So
Mhm. You know,
Um,
you did it. You did it. We lived
we had a
in
lot
the
of support,
apartment.
you know, a lot of parent support.
Mm-hmm.
We did see my brothers and sisters a lot more than we do now because everybody's gotten older and went their own ways. But we would go see my sister Kay or Mare, and we'd always go out with Joe. Your dad would
house.
stop by, your
Mhm.
parents would stop by a lot,
Mhm.
and a lot of them helped us out, you know, quite a bit.
They were in between those years.
Yeah,
Well, they all had examples
they
to
had
give
more.
us, you know.
Yeah.
right.
You know,
We were
and
the
we
youngest.
and we
Mhm.
we cherished those moments that they told us about, but we turned them into our moments. We didn't do anything that they did,
Mhm.
you know, because you take your own opinion of something and you do it, you know.
Right.
But we always, as one thing we always do is we talk things out. You know, why are we doing this, or
Mm-hmm.
should we move? Should we, you know, put the
So
kids
one
in
of you
sports?
doesn't make decisions,
No.
and the
Oh,
other
no.
one follows.
No,
Okay.
never.
And that was not role modeled
No.
when you guys were growing up
No.
either.
No.
It was always the husband was,
Mhm.
we're doing this. And no, we didn't get into that. We discussed almost everything, you know,
Mhm.
the houses we picked, the furniture, whatever, the material things. We just, whatever you want. So then we'd go together and pick something out, you know.
When we went shopping for our furniture, before we got married, we went up to Sears, and it was kind of cool because we're walking, oh, look at that set. Oh, we like it. So we got it. I mean, we put stuff on layaway because we knew we were getting married. And this was even before we were pregnant.
Mhm.
They had a big sale. So we put the furniture down in Grandma and Grandpa's basement. When we got a bedroom set, we got and a living room set. But I mean, as you walk through, it's like, oh, I like that. I liked it. That would be good for kids, you know, growing up and stuff. It wasn't fancy, fluffy furniture. It was early American furniture.
Mhm.
Many bumps and bruises with the kids. But it was something we both kind of picked on. You know, we both liked it. So that was good.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah.
So, how do you guys deal with conflict?
Depends upon the conflict.
Yeah.
Like I said, if it's a major thing, we really work together. We've had a couple major ones over the years,
Mm-hmm.
with one of them two of them
Right.
got pregnant. One got into the drinking end of it. And those things are so traumatic that if you decide to do it on your own, it's not going to happen. And we would always take a step back and talk about it. And then we would call them in and say, okay, here's what's going on.
We're having a family meeting.
And
We had
wanna
family
know
meetings.
how far you want to go with this. And we're here to help.
Mhm.
When our
Little things, that
Yeah.
rubs you the wrong way. You know, the dishes aren't done or whatever it is.
Right.
Those are stupid.
stupid, you argue, but you know what? You go on. You just, all right, so you do it.
You know, that's interesting. I think that's true. And, you know, when I was growing up, my dad obviously had a little bit of a temper. And
What?
Really?
Well,
It was always the rear view
nut
mirror
never
thing.
fell far from the tree.
But, you know, when I told him I was pregnant, he he was a rock star. Like, that's where you think it's going to be the worst.
Well, you're
you know?
afraid
Well,
of telling them.
Absolutely.
You are
Well-
afraid of that initial, here's what's going on, because you never had to step up like that before.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know, it was always, hey, Dad, I need some advice. You know, well, this is too late. You already made
Yeah,
your decision, and now you have to ask them, what do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you hope for the best.
Yeah.
And actually, they did step out of their shells once the shell shock took over.
Mhm.
Is that how your kids approached you when they kind of were meeting their challenges?
Most of the time, I don't think they've ever had a problem coming talking to us.
Well,
You know, we've always sat down. Here, what's going on?
well,
you
and
know.
when we found out Annie was pregnant, well, you found out first.
Mhm.
But my mom had surgery that day, so I was at her house, and we decided to have a family meeting. And he told me what was happening, and it's like disbelief. It's like, that's not really no, she's not pregnant. No, I mean, she's in high school. Okay, she's a senior in high school, and when you hear it, I was just devastated, and I cried and cried, and we had our family meeting, and when I saw him after my mom had her surgery, all I did was hold him. I cried, you know. And
What were you devastated about? Like, what were some of the things you were thinking?
Just that she had to go through it all by herself.
yeah,
The boyfriend she had was not exactly one of the upstanding guys in the world. He actually was older, way older than what we knew.
he lied.
He lied to us about that. So once
Same
you
there, you
tell
know.
your lies, you know, it's
Yeah.
always a snowball effect. It's just
Mhm.
going to get bigger and bigger. And once we kind of learned more, you know, we kind of knew she was going to be on her own. And how can we stop that?
Mhm.
You know, that was what we looked to
Mhm.
handle. And that was the biggest part of the meeting was, where are we going to go from here?
Mhm.
But he called the kids. We had a family meeting, and we said, you know, we're meeting here at this time. This is what we're going to do. And then,
Did they know already?
you know, I don't
Who's
know.
that?
The kids, did they know
Mike
Annie
and
was
Shelley.
pregnant?
Mike didn't.
But I think
Shell
might
might have.
Yeah. Trying to think.
And probably during the course of that day, because she skipped school
Mm.
and they went to go get an abortion.
Abortion.
And I got a call from the school. And that's how I found out that they weren't
Mhm.
there. And then that's when I started looking for her.
Was she with her boyfriend?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah, he was taking her. That was his
She
big
was 5 months
answer to the
pregnant.
problem.
So you guys intervened.
No, actually, they were there and she was too far along.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they couldn't
Oh.
do it.
And, I
So-
thought she was 4 months. But
4?
yeah.
Okay.
Because she was hiding it pretty good because she didn't show.
She
Mhm.
didn't eat. She didn't want to show.
Right. And she's very nervous. Obviously, I had the Zender temper like your dad, and they were afraid of me as far as that goes,
Mhm.
that they did something wrong and Dad's just going to
Right.
go crazy. And it was just
Total
the
opposite.
opposite, you know.
Total opposite.
You know, by the time the night was over, she felt very comfortable.
We said we'll
she
do
was
anything.
able to sit and talk and help whatever she wanted to do. Right.
Mhm. We said we'll do anything. We'll help in any way, shape, or form.
Friends
you know,
of
they
ours-
said they were going to get married. We said no, don't get married. Please just wait
Yeah.
and see what happens.
Mhm.
You know, I had a hard time because I didn't. You know, they said you're going to be a grandma, and I freaked out. I wasn't ready. I was not ready.
How old were you?
38?
No.
No,
Let's
younger.
see.
Wait. Kyle's
34?
22.
Okay, 22.
Oh, 42. Yeah, 41, 42.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay. I wasn't ready. I mean, that's not what you expect when you think you're going to become a grandma. You expect your kids, the normal, go get married and then have children, you know, coming this way. But even though I was pregnant, it was different. Well, because I was older. I was out of school.
Yeah.
She was still in school. So,
Mhm.
and it bothered me. But to this day, best thing ever, you know.
Well, a lot of
Kyle.
our friends said
Mhm.
kick her out of the house.
Mm.
Wow.
Make her get out on her own.
That's pretty harsh.
Oh, yeah,
You
it was.
can't
It
do
was.
Yeah.
But
Especially at that age.
But
Yes.
they all our
Just
friends were from that era that's what you did. You didn't, you know,
Yeah.
that was the answer.
Right.
And that's not the answer
Right.
because we've been through it. So I think that helped
Mhm.
in the long run. We knew she had no one to talk to. This guy was, like I said, he was just a different type of person, very selfish. We knew he
So-
was never going to amount to nothing.
I mean, we helped her as much as we could financially,
Mhm.
watching the baby, dropping
Mhm.
him off at daycare. We did, you know, what we had to do.
Yeah.
He had meals on the table every day. You know, he was in a set routine and we did it, you know, but
How long did she know she was pregnant before you guys found
To
out?
4 months.
For 4 months.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could you tell?
No.
No.
Because that's how my parents found out, is because they could tell. I was miserable.
Oh, no.
And they're like, you are still miserable. What's wrong?
I think
She
was
had her
still,
high school. No, what is high school
No, she didn't get to
graduation?
the
No, she didn't get to the
graduation.
graduation party, but it was her birthday during July, I think. Nope. Was it her birthday
She was still in
party?
school because
Yeah.
She still had a year to go.
Well, when's Kyle's birthday?
January.
January. Right before your dad's. 7th?
January 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your dad
So
come
that would
over-
have been the fall.
Yeah.
He come over and told Annie's going to push him out on his birthday. So.
Yeah. If you don't have this baby on the 8th, I'm going to come and sit on you. That's
Nice.
typical.
Nice.
When we found out we were pregnant, and once the family found out with Annie, your dad and mom come over and they said, let's go for dinner. You know, he started giving us some examples of friends of his and their kids are having the same type of problem. And we were, okay, you know, we already handled it. Thank you.
Mhm.
It was already in control.
What was he thinking you should do?
Just to give us, no, he didn't give us what we should do.
Okay.
It's just support.
Okay.
You know,
Mhm.
don't worry, you got family,
Right.
that type of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it just was all,
And it all worked
he
out.
just wanted us to know that they were there.
Mhm.
If we had questions, answers, you know, they give some answers, but they didn't direct us at all.
Yeah.
That was
No.
the best part about the whole thing.
Yeah.
They didn't handle, Alec very well until he was about 8. So it was after I finished college. And, when I was in college, they really didn't talk to me during that time. They kind of thought I was being irresponsible. And I was partying at college looking for a man. That's kind of what was in their mind, And then after college, I finished my bachelor's and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I didn't know where I should live. And they let me live with them after 8 years.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And that's when he saw what my life was like. And he was like, I had no idea. And then him and Alec became very, very close after
They
that.
bonded very
Yeah.
well. Yes. Well,
And I think
it's
that's
like
why
Kyle.
they came over,
Mhm.
So,
you know,
yeah, because I think Alec is 10 years older than Kyle. Alex,
somewhere's in
31.
that group. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
Kyle's
So
20.
Yeah,
they-
he's 20.
Yeah.
So a little bit of the
20.
experience and, if we had any questions or anything, but
But see, he had that to fall back on.
Right.
You know, we appreciated that. We used you as an example. We didn't appreciate that.
Not the first time.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But it was the Zender way.
Yep.
So your role was actually pretty unique, not just being grandparents then, but you guys kind of became, like surrogate parents as well.
Well, she didn't have anybody, and we did fill in quite a bit. And even to the day, she still thinks she did it all on her own, which we're thinking, that's fine. You know? We don't care.
Yeah.
As long as she got help and she was happy.
Yeah.
You know, she got to finish school. She got to do a few things.
she went to college. She graduated. I
Yeah.
mean,
You know,
to
Kyle
me,
was
I
always
cried
safe.
my eyes out when she graduated. I mean, just to get her associates, I cried. I thought that was the neatest thing. You know,
Mhm.
there's my daughter. And having Kyle there and everything, and it just you're very proud and
Yeah.
just So.
Hey, he became a big part of our life.
Mhm.
You know, we have other grandkids, but it's so hard to say that they're that close. It's hard to
Yeah.
do that
Yeah.
because you don't see him every day. And here he was
He
there
lived
every
with us
day. And
for how
I
many
helped him with
years?
homework.
How many years
and
did he live with you guys?
17, I think it was.
Okay.
About
Oh,
17 on and off.
Okay.
Because
Mhm.
she moved out a couple times and
Mhm.
came
Right.
back. Might have been not 17, but close to it.
Mhm.
And even when she wasn't living there, he was probably over a lot.
We didn't get to see him as much as we'd like to when she got married
To
to Tony.
Mhm.
That was rough. That was
a
very
tough
rough.
year because he was kind of
We would have him
strange
for
too.
I'd pick him up on a Friday after work. I'd pick them up from school. And when we had to drive him home on Sunday, he would cry. He would say, Grandma, I don't want to go home. I don't want to go home. So,
How old
and
was he at the
would
time?
cry.
Has to be
They got
first,
married in
second grade, something
2005.
like that.
So 97 to
Yeah.
05.
Well, he was only
Eight,
gone for a
6, 7,
year.
8
Yeah, you had
years.
to be
and,
8 years old, right?
and he did not want to go home.
Well,
So he knew
So
about
there
the
were some
situation.
bad things,
Yeah.
happening there. And we just wanted to take him and just, keep him there with us. But we
that's got to be
couldn't.
really hard as parents to watch, your kid
Well,
and grandkid go through that.
Mhm.
Yes. So,
You know, and back to the temper thing, when he showed his, mine came out of the closet, and it wasn't a very pretty picture a couple times. But
Yeah.
everything worked out for the best.
Do you think there's anything as parents you could have done to protect her or help her through? any of
well,
that?
we were very lax with her, with the boyfriend, and when we seen the color on the wall saying, maybe you shouldn't.
I
marry
asked
this
her, I said,
guy.
Annie, can we wait 6 months? Let's not get married.
Put it off.
I said,
you
put it
know,
off 6
and
months.
she was so excited
No,
to get married,
no.
and everything was in her, going
Mhm.
good, and
At that point,
No.
you couldn't really
Yeah.
do much.
No.
No, you could
Yeah.
tell she was really just wanting that atmosphere, and she wanted to move out and be happy, and he kind of like didn't, he was very childish, and
Got more
it was
childish.
all about himself, and
Right.
the closer it got, the worse he got,
Mhm.
he wouldn't come to any of the
Family
showers
functions and-
or family things. And that was big for us,
Yeah, we invited, even for like the rehearsal dinner, he didn't invite his friends. And his parents didn't do anything. So
Mhm.
I made big, huge pans of lasagna and I said, you guys all come over, and a couple of them did, but it's like he didn't know what to do because
Yeah.
he's so he was a little homeschooled. So, and I think that has something to do with it. You don't have those social skills and
Mhm.
how to deal with people. So,
And when you're the person in it, you don't see it. You see the potential and not
Correct.
the reality.
Right.
Yeah.
and then,
And she just thought she could mold
Mhm.
together with them,
Yeah.
and it just didn't happen.
no.
We were glad it ended before they had children. So that was a
Right.
good
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Yes.
If they would have had kids, then it would have really been tough.
That would have been hard,
Mhm.
very hard.
So at some point,
So-
you had to kind of like stand back and be kind of hands off. I mean,
Well,
maybe give
basic-
some suggestions. but-
Basically, we
Mhm.
were, even
Yeah.
with Mike and Shell, our older ones, that we didn't ever step in where they were dating somebody.
Mhm.
We might not have liked them, but they had to make their own decisions,
Mhm.
And that's one thing we let them make, because if we step in and they don't like you stepping in, then they fall away from you too. And we didn't
Mhm.
want to lose them. So
And they say you have to let them fall.
Yeah.
Just be there to pick them up.
Right.
And we were all the time. So through all of it.
Mhm.
So
It's interesting because I've been on the other end of that. My mom got married,
right.
and some people had opinions about that. And I just
Right.
said to her, I said, "You didn't tell us who to marry. We can't tell you who to marry.
Well,
So
without
it
a
go
doubt.
that way."
Without a doubt.
Exactly. He's
It's
not dad.
Right.
You know,
Right.
never will be.
Right.
You have your dad. He lives in your heart, and that's all that matters.
Mhm.
So how did all of these challenges, with your kids and grandkids, how did that kind of shape your relationship together?
I think it got shaped right from the get-go because we had to talk. We had to discuss what was going on, and we had to listen to the other person.
Customer?
Customers.
I'm his customer now. Sheesh.
Well, that's what happened.
Who's going to pay who?
I've been paid.
Oh, sorry. I shouldn't have said that.
Put it on my tab.
If she collects, I'm in trouble. No, but we've always had to talk to one another and listen to one another, and both opinions count. It's not like, okay, it's this way, period.
No.
It just never worked. So I think over the years, the more challenges we got, those really got stronger because we accepted one another's opinion right from the get-go.
I think the crazy thing is, he can get kind of upset and, the temper and stuff would fly and stuff. But when we had these big challenges, he's so level-headed, it just blows your mind,
Don't tell people that.
It's so true though. But, and I don't know where that comes from, but
Ooh.
then it's there.
So he doesn't lose his temper with the real stuff.
No,
Mm.
not at all. That's the crazy thing. But then we can see, the good thing is then we can sit and talk about it together,
Mhm.
and what's best, what about this, what about that? And you think things out more.
Well, we don't
And
want
you
to try
talk
to make
together.
rational decisions very quickly.
Yeah.
We kind of figure
Right.
them out first,
Mhm.
but that's the way we do it.
Right.
So all during this time, you said that you stayed home for 10 years, right, with the kids?
6 years.
Oh, 6 years.
Mhm.
Okay. And then how did you guys transition that, into, I think you went back into the workforce, right? And
Yeah, I went back to I went to a grocery store and I
Mhm.
worked part-time. I worked evening hours, like from 5 to 9, a couple days a week and on Saturday afternoons. And we just decided, well, we need a little bit more money because, the kids need school supplies and clothes and everything. So this would be a good part-time income,
Mhm. So then when you guys started taking care of Kyle, how did that impact, how your careers were going at that point, and how did you navigate that?
It just seemed to formulate because he had to go to school. He was in school age,
He was in preschool, yeah.
and he was working. So she made sure she was home and worked those hours when he was in school. And we filled in some of the time frames through the jobs. I worked not very far from home, so that helped. I was home a little earlier, so.
And my job, I was flexible because I was salary. So if I had to leave early to get him, or if he was sick from school, I went and got him. It was easy to do because your salary.
She was back full time at the time,
Right, when we had Kyle.
which
They had
that did
Andy
start
and
an
Kyle.
impact, but that
No.
helped out.
I mean, life is normal. It went through normally,
How much alone time would you guys get? Would you, get babysitters and go out on dates? Did you?
No, we never did that.
Not
We
till
got the
later.
parents to watch the
Mhm.
kids when, like, for anniversaries.
Anniversaries are
Birthdays.
special.
Yeah.
We sat home one year when we bought the house on Birchwood,
Mhm.
but we said never again. We go out and we make a point of it and we go someplace nice every year anniversary, no matter what day of the week it falls on. That's our day.
Is this the original wedding date or
Yes.
the
Oh, no,
push-up
this is-
wedding
June
date?
1st.
This is the real
No,
one.
This is the real one.
Not the fake one we
No.
tried to pull off.
Right.
No,
Okay.
that-
We didn't even think
no.
about that one.
That's one thing we've always done. And we make it special. We used to do some cool things when we were younger, but we don't do those anymore.
So during a regular week, how much time would you guys get to spend, just the two of you?
Mm-hmm.
When the kids were younger?
Yeah, throughout all of it.
When they got to bed and they
Yeah.
were quiet. And,
Okay.
Mhm.
You know,
We'd sit on the couch and cuddle.
we always gave the kids their time with us. We
Mhm.
never, go to bed or go to your room and
Mhm.
stuff like that. We made sure it was still a family situation, whether we watched some TV or we played a game or whatever it was. When it came bedtime, well, then we were you're in bed.
Yeah.
That's it,
And you guys would go to Shotgun Eddie's?
Well, we did get a couple vacations in there, and I was very impressed at how she went with me on those. But
Is that not your thing?
Is it
Oh, no,
whitewater
I was
rafting,
okay. It was
right?
whitewater
Yeah.
rafting.
Right.
Yeah.
well, Wisconsin's version.
Sure. Sure.
Went halfway down the one rapids underneath the boat, but hey, I saw my life flash in front of me. You see your kids and stuff like that, and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was freaky.
Yeah.
In fact, after that, I still went down, but it
You
was
didn't
okay.
enjoy it as much.
Yeah, I held on to that boat.
Did you guys travel as a family much?
Oh,
Did you
yeah.
go on vacations?
Oh yes,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
We
We
used
were
to-
just talking about that.
We took the kids to a lot of places that the kids tell us they're very happy they did that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, some of the ones we borrowed your brother's pop up many years ago, and we went to Mount Rushmore.
That
and
was awesome.
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We did a lot of Wisconsin camping trips and went to Washington. We did a few other
DC.
things.
We
but,
went to
Niagara Falls.
We went to Statue of Liberty, New York. We have the towers in the background in some of our pictures, So it's kind of cool. And they talk about these vacations all the time.
Yeah.
They talk about our houseboat trips. They want to plan more.
Mhm. We heard about that already.
Yeah.
That was one
Those
thing
were
that
fun.
always impressed me about your guys' family. You guys were so much closer than my family ever was.
Your family's
they-
big, though.
Yeah. They took us in the little pop-up thing. Well, was that the go on the back of a truck? That's not a pop-up. That's
No.
Oh, he had the
Yeah.
pickup
Little
version.
cabin, yeah.
Yeah.
7 kids.
hmm
And we went to California and back.
Wow.
And we did the Mount Rushmore. I was 6 years old. Eddie was like 18 months old.
Oh, wow.
Jeff was 10. They left us in the parking lot at whatever the gambling place is in Las Vegas, and they went and gambled, and they left us 7 of us out in the parking lot between 10 and 18.
Yeah.
Well, the
18
door's
months.
probably
Yeah.
locked,
Yeah.
and there's food in there.
Well, there were 7
They
of them,
can
so they're pretty
survive.
safe.
Right.
Who'd want to walk in on that? I used to babysit them, and I'd never do that again.
Yeah, I wonder how they found babysitters, because that's one thing they
I
talked
did.
about is they did go out regularly.
I watched the boys when they were,
Ooh.
Jeff, Dan, and Judy.
Oh.
Judy was like, wanted to be away from those two because those guys were animals.
Well, if that was before I was born, because I'm the 4th,
Right. I think
Yeah.
I think
Dan
I got
had
you
to be like less than 2.
too. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Jeff was
Wow.
there. He was the oldest, and he would tell everybody what to do for me.
Of course.
Which he
He's-
hasn't changed
Still
any.
does. Yeah.
But yeah, I watched you guys a lot. I watched Aunt Mary's kids a lot. Who else? Kay's.
Lou Beth's.
Yeah, and Lou Betts. Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Which really prepared you for your
I
life.
think that
Yeah.
probably
You
did.
know,
Yeah.
I agree. Definitely.
Because to watch one kid is something, but
Mhm.
When it was multiples.
they got 3 or 4 in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, and your family
so-
is special.
Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
training ground
Ooh.
there.
You're welcome again.
You notice I'm lacking in hair. So. Everybody else in the family has hair.
You
I don't
could run
understand.
like a babysitting training boot
Right,
camp
yeah,
or
there
something.
you go.
Right?
I wasn't exactly the nicest guy at that. Here's the way you do it. And, I was like my dad. Here's what we're going to do. They didn't listen.
No.
So you've had other grandkids you've helped raise.
Yes, we did. We raised Nick and Megan when Michelle became an alcoholic, when we discovered she was an alcoholic. And they were going to take the kids away because DCFS got involved in all of this. Somehow she would be going to court for these tickets and stuff. And I was in the one courtroom the one day, and the judge goes, "Well, who are you?" And I says, "I'm the grandma." And they go, "Well, you can't have the kids. You
don't have any rights.
You have no rights
Hmm.
until you become a foster parent."
Wow.
So
So we said, well, that's what we got to do.
Did you have to go through a whole process?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
What was
Fingerprinting,
that like?
Background checks, fingerprinting. You had a lot of, the
paperwork.
house had to be searched.
mhm.
And then different
background
things had to be
checks.
done.
We were
background
fingerprinted,
checks, yeah.
How long was that process?
Took about
Couple months.
3 months,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Uh-huh. Then we got licensed.
And they weren't very friendly at the beginning,
No.
but the more and more they knew us and how things were going on, they didn't mind us at all. Because they have to
Because-
do with their thing.
Right.
We weren't evil. We were the grandparents. We know how to take care of the kids. And, they ask questions. How were the kids raised? Do you take them to church on Sunday? And we did, and other things, like, is there a gun in the house? Like, no. And then different things they asked us. And we had to fill out these questionnaires. And she
Mhm.
would come every 2 or 3 months. The lady
They
would come
would
and ask
come
us
every
all these questions.
Inspection, thing like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Inspections.
After you had them.
Yes.
After-
And then
Yeah.
it was our responsibility to take them to the doctor every 6 months, take them here every 6 months, take them there.
Well, that as foster parents, we had to do.
Yeah.
There was a booklet
So-
you had to follow,
Mhm.
and what got us was the parents don't have to do it, but we did,
Right.
Right.
which is-
Wow.
I mean,
You know.
it's amazing.
Isn't it?
So
Yeah.
that was the funny part of the whole thing.
And sometimes I'd have to make these appointments. That was kind of hard at that point, the 1 year, because
We
I
had
was
to
still
juggle the
working.
jobs.
I had to juggle my job. Yet, even though I was salary, it was a little tougher because I couldn't do this all the time.
Yeah.
Here and there is fine.
But you also lost your job there too.
Luckily, yes, I lost my job for a year. And that turned out to be a blessing in disguise because I was able to take them here, there.
You had
do
more
things.
time then. Yeah.
Exactly, to devote to them. But they were in a structured life. They had breakfast and they went to school or lunch they had wherever. But they came home and we had dinner.
Where you
and
sat
we
down at the
picked-
kitchen table.
We picked them up
They didn't sit in
at
front of
daycares.
the TV.
Mhm.
Right. We played games. We did things and they had a structured life. And the funny thing is, whenever Megan comes over now, her room was Annie's old bedroom, and there's hooks in there for coats and stuff.
Mhm.
First thing she does every time, runs upstairs and puts her coats on those hooks. That's her room.
Mhm.
That's her
And
room.
that's the structure.
Yeah.
How long did you guys have custody of them?
Almost 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Was Kyle in the house at the same time? Do you have all three?
Actually-
No,
no.
he was already living with Dave. He was by Dave for a while, and then
Yeah. Man, I'm trying to think.
no, I don't think he was.
Megan was 4. She's 10, 6 years ago.
No,
So
they
he
were
was
He
with
was
Brian.
kind of
They were
in
with
and
Brian.
out.
Yeah, they were living with Brian.
They were living with Brian. Okay.
Yeah.
At that time.
Mhm.
Okay.
Are you guys still licensed foster parents?
No, we
No,
didn't
we
keep it
just
up.
gave it up a couple of years
Did
ago.
you?
Yeah, we didn't. They kept asking us for watching.
Yeah.
If we want
kept
to,
telling
and we
them,
kept doing it for a couple of years after, just in case,
Right.
I mean, probably to get licensed
Well,
now
they
would
told
be
us to
nothing.
stay licensed for 2 more years, at least 2 years.
Uh-huh.
In case she
Just in
relapsed.
case.
Exactly.
And when the
So-
2-year came up, we talked to her because she would stay in contact. She really ended up liking us. She would come over
Yeah.
after the kids were gone. How you guys doing?
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
And
We
it was-
made good relationships with them.
This is the DCFS worker you're
Yeah.
talking
Yes.
about? Okay.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, it wasn't an ugly situation.
Mhm.
It was, well, thank God it wasn't drugs or anything, or,
Mhm.
I mean, yes, it was alcohol, but I mean, it was how do you put it? Because some situations are really ugly in the house.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know how
Sure.
these people get away with it, but I mean, our house was like we said, it was inspected. It was clean. It had to be clean. Well,
Right.
it was, but
Well, when the kids first moved in, we only had one room set up, and
oh yeah,
they had to sleep in a twin or a full bed. And they said that can't happen.
Mhm.
right.
They need their own rooms.
It was a
Yes.
boy and
Yeah.
a girl,
Yes.
and we understood. We said
Right.
we understand that,
But, we didn't
but they
have-
saw what we were doing. We were fixing up the second bedroom. We says they are moving into there within the week.
Mhm.
Please come back.
Mhm.
We weren't hiding anything. Just,
Yeah.
please come back. You'll see they're there, and they each got their own room.
Right.
There was again, it comes down to structure, and it's how we raised our other kids. That these guys had to follow the same rules. I mean,
Mhm.
I was big for rules. That was the way it was. If you don't like it, then you're out of luck because these are going to stay.
These are the rules.
These are the rules. And
They're wonderful.
and actually, we never had any problems. They really were good kids. Their schoolwork came up. They went to different schools. Again.
Well, she was in preschool, so she had to go one way, and then Nick, he was in the other school,
Mhm.
Crystal Lake, and actually then he went to Huntley schools when
Mhm.
he lived with us full time for that year. So
Did you guys have any say in if they went back?
They did ask
Yes.
us how
Mhm.
we feel, being that was our daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it was another person, we probably wouldn't have had to say so
Okay.
because we wouldn't have no reaction
Right.
right,
or interaction.
right,
So it was easier for us to see what was going on and how progress was developing. And I think we did hold them back maybe a month more
Mhm.
once in a while
Mhm.
towards the end. And we says, she's advancing, but can you put it off one more month?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Type of thing.
Mhm.
And it worked out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I started my full time job
right
when-
after.
right
right
after.
after
It was
that.
amazing.
Yeah.
So she had to go through quite a bit to prove to
Oh yes.
be a fit mother again.
Yes.
Well, yeah, she got the visits every month or 2 months, whatever it was.
Mhm.
And,
Did she always make her visits?
Oh yeah.
they would go to her.
Oh, this is the
Yeah.
DCFS people.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you guys had the kids, did she get to visit?
She got the visit.
Yes.
The first few times was there at a DCFS site where we'd have to bring the kids,
Mhm.
and she had to
Yeah.
be. It was a
Like supervised.
supervised.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking
visit.
for.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a supervised visit that they didn't want to come to our house and do. They wanted to do it on their terms,
Mhm.
and so we had to meet, and that went slow. The kids didn't understand.
Why
Why
they
we
couldn't
couldn't
go
go home.
back. Right.
Mhm.
And then she got to have them at our house with us in the rooms. And the kids didn't really like that, but we had to be in the room with them. We couldn't
Mhm.
leave her alone. And we stuck with those rules. So
Mhm.
And
that's what
she-
they had to do.
and she was living at the homes where the recovery homes.
Mhm.
The 60
So
day
she
or 90 day.
no,
whatever it
not
was.
those. The
The
other
halfway-
ones.
Halfway houses.
The halfway house.
Oh,
yeah,
yes. Okay,
yeah. She
you're
was
right.
living there.
Mhm.
So, and then she had to finish that there, and then she had to go get a place, and she started renting the townhouse.
Mhm.
So,
Where she is now.
yes,
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah. So,
Do you find your relationship with, so now it's 3 grandkids that you guys kind of were
Correct.
kind of surrogate parents to.
mhm.
Do you find that your relationship with them is different or
It's totally different than
Yes.
the other
than the
three,
other?
but it's not as close as what Kyle was because
Right.
this was more, we were there for help
Mhm.
and to form a structure because they didn't have one.
What?
Um,
With the kids,
with Nick and Megan.
thing is, we were disciplinarians.
Right.
We had to be the disciplinarians.
I was
And
called
as a-
No Fun Grandpa for a long
Right.
time.
No fun, Grandpa.
Yes. So,
I'm going to get a T-shirt made for you on that. That's a good one. I
That's
like
a
that.
really good one.
but I mean, it was hard because you're supposed to be the grandparent, but yet you have
You couldn't spoil them.
And they
Right.
didn't
You know.
have that structure inside of them to know that rules were appropriate.
Rules are rules.
Right.
You have to
Yes.
follow them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mike, for many reasons, that's our son. He, for many reasons, years, I don't like rules. I don't like rules. Now he's got rules. and I always laugh when I go over there. He's
got
you got a
rules."
rule. I see.
How
It's funny.
things
I
change.
see how this works.
We always said he's always questioning rules. He should be a lawyer. He's so funny.
He is fun.
Uh,
So, what does your partner do that you know they love you?
She says it all the time. I mean, that's the basic thing. She never is afraid to say it. Mainly, I think when we hold hands, it's just that electrical connection. It just works.
oh, I mean, I hug you and you
Mhm.
hug me back. And he does so many things for me because my knees are shot. And I mean, for maybe 38 years, I took care of the house, the kids.
What happened to those other years?
That's your job. This is where you
Not counting that.
No.
What, it was that
But I'm
many.
saying, no.
Wow.
But I mean, now, because my knees are shot, you do the laundry and,
Well, I do the stairs.
Yeah.
What can I say? Laundry's downstairs.
But I mean, it's hard. And he brings me up. you've been bringing me coffee for years.
Yeah.
Every morning he
Ever
brings
since
me a
we've
cup of
been working.
coffee up to the bedroom. Yeah.
Even when he's mad at you.
Yep. Even when he's mad at me.
That's the hardest one, isn't it? We have to do that to each other.
Yeah, it's tough.
We're not giving it up.
No.
It's really
Here's your
tough.
coffee.
You're
No.
getting more cream at this time.
I knew he was pissed.
I really didn't want to let her know that.
Today it's more bitter, like you.
Here you go. No.
Or weak.
Make got tears in my eyes. No, I mean, it just, I think our hugging, and kissing, and saying I love you. I mean, we say it more than once a day, never leave the house without a hug and a kiss and saying I love you, whether you're going to the store, work, whatever, it's always there.
Or
And
when
it
we're
just-
arguing.
Even when we're arguing, it's there. Might not be at full strength, but it's there. You know it.
There's
because
still a form.
She's saying it with a fist, just so all you know.
No, I love him with all my heart.
I tell her that all the time. I says, I know you think I'm mad at you, but I still love you.
So then, in bed, the feet come and they got to touch,
Yeah.
So you got to have that touch. You got to touch.
Oh.
Okay. You got to
Breaking the ice with the
You bet.
toes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's how she got
Starts-
pregnant.
Those toes. It's always
That's
the
what
toes.
started.
So, what advice would you guys give couples kind of going through some of the challenges you guys have gone through? I mean, there's been multiple, right?
Well, the question always comes up to us for some reason. I don't know why. Basically, always just be honest and,
Number one.
be happy. But if you're in a bad situation, just remember that's the one that you're going through life with, and you have to correct that bad situation as quickly as possible. So,
And we made a commitment. And I think people today, they don't take that commitment seriously. I mean, I made a commitment to love him, for all the days of my life.
in good times, Ann.
In bad. But you got to be truthful. You got to be honest. You cannot pretend to be somebody else or to say something else that you are not. You have to be upfront and honest with everything in your relationship.
And don't,
Otherwise, it's not going to work.
and don't dominate one another.
No.
It's not my way. It's not your way. It's our way.
If you're in front of the kids, pull yourselves away. Discuss something before you're in front of them because you want to put on a united front. I mean, you have to.
That's really big.
Yeah.
It
People
is.
putting their kids in between each other.
Yeah, we never done that. No.
Never. Mm-mm.
Well, Uncle John, Aunt Debbie, thank you very much for being on Couple Synergy. We really appreciate you guys being our guests today.
For thousands of years, people have been sharing stories to bond and heal and grow. And we hope that by you guys sharing your story, it's enriched your lives and the lives of our listeners.
I hope so too.
I hope so.
For all you listening, if you have any questions or topic suggestions, again, please feel free to leave a comment or look us up online at couplessynergy.com. Until next time, synergize your life, synergize your love.
You have been listening to Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean Kadkodian. Couple Synergy was recorded, edited, and produced by Dr. Ray and Jean Kadkodian, along with Organizational Director Calvin Javier and Marketing Coordinator Bridget Reese. Voiceover and music entitled Breathe and Let Go was recorded and composed by Gina Gonzalez.